Hello everyone, welcome back to AI for Product Managers. I am Pranav. This is episode 14. So today is a bit different. Um, Let me tell you why this episode exists. The number one killer of AI feature ideas is not bad ideas. Every team has good ideas. It's the 3 month wait for engineering to build a prototype so you can find out whether the idea was any good, right? And by the time that prototype lands, the market's moved and the priorities have shifted, and half the room has forgotten why you wanted it in the first place, right? So here is the experiment that changed how we work. We had an idea for an AI support assistant. The engineering estimate to prototype it was about a quarter. Instead, we built a working version ourselves in an afternoon, right? Roughly 45 minutes of real work using Airtable, Make, and the Open AI API. So no code. And within a week, we had it in front of our real users with real numbers on resolution rate and accuracy. So that evidence is what unlocked the engineering investment, not a slide deck, a thing people could click. Okay. And I want to be precise about what a prototype is for because this trips people up. So a prototype is not a small version of the product. It's an instrument of answering one question, right? Will users get value from this or not? And is the AI output actually good enough? It's disposable by design. If users love it, you have earned the right to build it properly, right? If they don't, congratulations, you have just saved your team a quarter. So here is what we are going. Why AI features specifically are risky enough to demand prototypes, and the four-layered no-code stack, when you should skip prototyping entirely, then the full live build, how to test it with real users, and finally, what genuinely has to change before it can ship. So no coding is required for any of it. So hit subscribe and let's build. So before we build, Let's be let's be clear about why AI features specifically deserve this treatment because prototyping is not new, but AI changes the math, right? So look at the left column. A traditional feature is predictable. You build a button, it does the thing every single time. You know what to expect, users know what to expect, and your success criteria are obvious, right? Did the click work or not? The risk of building it is genuinely low. You can spec it, estimate it, and ship it, right? So now the right column, AI features are non-deterministic. So that's the crucial word. The same input can produce a different output on Tuesday than it did on Monday, right? Your success criteria go fuzzy. What does a good summary even mean precisely? Users don't know what to expect. And honestly, sometimes it spokes them, and where a traditional feature fails gracefully, a button does not work. An AI feature can fail spectacularly, confidently telling a customer something completely false. So your build confidence walking is low, right? Genuinely low. So which brings us to the real risk on the right. The nightmare scenario is not that you build it wrong, it's that you build it right over 3 months and then discover the output quality just is not good enough for anyone to use. So nobody's fault. You just couldn't know until you saw it working with real data and real users, right? And that's exactly what a prototype buys you. So it attacks the one question that actually kills AI features. Is the output good enough and will users trust it? So you answered that for about $20 in API credits and an afternoon of your own time instead of a quarter of your team's. And that's a trade, right? It's an incredibly good trade. So let's take a look at the tools. Okay. So here is the whole no code AI stack on one slide, the four layers. And I want you to notice the mental model at the bottom first because it reframes everything. You are not coding, you are plumbing. Okay. Every layer is just a service, and the logic layer whole job is passing data between them. So once that clicks, this stops being intimidating, right? So the layer one is front end, what the user actually clicks. Retool is my pick for internal tools and dashboards. Bubble if you need a full public web app. Streamlit or Gradio if you know any tiny bit of Python and just want a demo fast, right? So layer two is logic, the workflow that wires everything together. Like Zapier is the simplest if this then that make. So which used to be uh, Integromat handles the multi-step branching stuff, and it's what I use. N8N if you want open source and more control. Okay, and layer 3 AI engine, the actual intelligence, Open AI APIs, Anthropic Cloud API, or Hugging Face for open models. And here is the thing to internalize, you just making an API call. Text goes in, text come back. That's it. That's the whole mystery. Okay. And layer 4 is data, where you keep your context and your results. Airtable is a spreadsheet with superpowers, and it's perfect for prototypes. Notion databases work fine. Superbase or Pinecone when you get fancier, right? And the four layers, four services, and the logic layer as a glue. Let's talk about which specific tool you actually pick. Okay. Yeah. Coming to the tool selection, and I'll be opinionated here because decision paralysis is the real enemy. You will notice a column most tool comparisons skip learning curve that matters more than features, right? Because a tool you can't learn in an afternoon defeats the entire purpose. So Retool, it is a low curve, free tier, brilliant for internal tools and dashboards. This is where I start. Bubble is more powerful and can build real public facing app, but it's a medium curve. You'll spend a weekend learning it, so only reach for it if you actually need a polished public product. And Streamlit is free and that simple if you are comfortable with a few lines of Python. And on the logic layer, uh, Make is $9 a month, low curve, and handles branching and multi-step flows. That's my pick. And Zapier is even simpler, and I would honestly recommend it if your flow is genuinely linear, but it gets expensive and it chokes on complexity as well. And voice flow is purpose built if your prototyping is specifically a chart or voice experience. And the green line is what I actually want you to take away because you only have to make this decision once. Retool for the interface, make for the logic, open AI API for the brains, right? Airtable for the data. Learn that combination once and you can prototype almost any AI feature in a day forever. So total cost to follow along today is basically the OpenAI credits, a few dollars. One honest caveat before we move on, every one of these tools will hit a ceiling. That's fine. They're not supposed to scale. They are supposed to teach you something fast now before we build. Okay. So let's make sure prototyping is even the right call. So yeah, quick decision framework because prototyping is not always the right answer and I don't want to sell you a hammer. So prototype when left side one, demand is unproven. You genuinely don't know whether user wants an AI doing this at all. Second one, output quality is unknown, which means your prompt needs real iteration against messy real world inputs. And the third one, the UX pattern is unclear. Should this be a chat box or inline suggestions or something ambient? that's almost impossible to reason about in the abstract and obvious the moment you click it. And the four, the political one, don't underestimate it. Stakeholders need to see it. A working demo unlocks budget in a way that no slide ever has, right? Now ship directly when on the right side, one, it's table stakes parity. When a competitor already proved the concept that you are just catching up. Second is your research already answered the demand question. You don't need to revalidate what you know. Third is scale matters from day one. A no-code prototype will fall over a 10,000 concurrent users. So full stop. And four, the one I would treat as non-negotiable security or compliance. If you work in healthcare, finance, or anywhere with regulated data, do not put real customer data in Airtable to save time. Okay. Use synthetic data for the prototype or go straight to engineering. Please take that one seriously. Okay. So the default is prototype, but those exceptions are real. All right. So let's build the thing. So here is what we are building, and I picked this example deliberately because almost every company has a version of it, an AI customer support agent. So left side, the behavior, five things. A user asks a support question. We search a knowledge base for relevant articles. The AI writes an answer using only those articles, right? The user rates it thumbs up or thumbs down. And if the AI is not confident, it escalates to a human instead of guessing. So that's it. Five behaviors is the entire product. Notice how small that is. That's on purpose, right? So prototype scope should feel almost embarrassingly small. On the right side, the architecture. And this is the part that looks scary in an engineering doc and takes 20 minutes in practice. So Retool gives us the interface, a text box, an answer area, rating buttons. So that post to a webhook in make searches Airtable for the top three matching articles. So it passes those articles plus the question to the Open AI API, and then it logs the question, the answer, and eventually the rating back to into the Airtable. Okay. So that last step, the logging, is the one people skip, and I want to flag it hard. Your log table is your research data. So in a week, that table tells you your resolution rate as well, your accuracy, and exactly which questions the AI keeps fumbling, right? If you don't log, you built a toy. If you do log, you built an experiment, right? So two of these five steps carry all the risk, the knowledge base and the prompt. So let's do those next. So that's step one and two, the knowledge base and the prompt. These two carry all the risks. So this is where we slow down. The knowledge base first, open Airtable, make a table, five columns, an ID, a title, the content which is actual answer text, keywords, and a category for filtering later. Then add 10 to 15 real articles like password reset, billing FAQ, API limits, your top error messages. Use your real help center content, not made up filler, because fake content gives you fake results. Okay. Now, the honest bit, we are matching on keywords, which is crude. If someone writes, I can get in, and your article says password, keyword matching misses it. In production, you would use vector embeddings for semantic search, but for a prototype, keyword matching is completely fine because the question you are answering right now is not my search perfect. It's when the AI does gets the right article. Is is the answer any good? So don't resolve the production problems in a prototype. So now the prompt. On the right, the every line here is load bearing. Pause and copy it. Line 1 gives it a role, a support agent for your specific product. Then the critical instruction, answer using only the context below. The single word only is your main defense against hallucination. So you are grounding it in your own articles instead of letting it invent policy from its training data, right? Imagine it confidently inventing a refund policy you don't offer. So that's the nightmare and only is what prevents it, okay? Then the escape hatch. If the context does not contain the answer, reply with exactly this phrase. Giving it a specific literal string does two things. It stops the AI from bluffing and it gives you something you can programmatically detect to trigger your escalation. So that's your confidence check, and it costs you one line. Okay. And then be concise and friendly for tone. And finally, you inject the top three articles and the user question, uh, role, grounding, escape hatch, tone, and context, right? So that's a production grade prompt pattern, and it's five instructions long. Okay. Now, step three, the interface, and my strong advice is to make it deliberately boring. Six components, that's all. A text input where they type the question, a submit button that fires the webhook, a response area for the answer, source link shows which articles it used, thumbs up and thumbs down, okay, and a talk to a human button, okay. Those of Two of those six are doing sneaky important work. The source links are the trust mechanism where a user can see which article the answer came from. They trust it far more, and it lets you spot instantly when the AI answered from the wrong source. Okay. And the rating buttons plus the escalate button are not really UI, they are your instrumentation, right? And thumbs are your satisfaction metrics, and escalation clicks are your resolution metrics. You are building your own measurement into the interface. So now the right side, which is the actual lesson of this slide, resist the org to make it pretty. Okay. Um, I know how I know how tempting it is. Retool makes it easy to add padding and pick nicer colors and spend 40 minutes on it. Don't. Here is why. I have watched this happen repeatedly. A polished prototype gets you feedback on the polish. People tell you the blue is nice and the font's a bit small. A plain, obviously rough prototype gets you feedback on the substance, right? So, was his answer actually useful for you? No. That's the only question you are here to answer. Ugly is a feature. It gives users permission to critique that thing that matters, right? And that's it. It works end to end. Type a question, get an AI answer grounded in your real help content in about 3 seconds, roughly 45 minutes of work, no code. Now the half everyone skips. Now, building the prototype is half the job. This slide is another half, and it's the half people skip. They build a cool demo, show it around, everyone say neat, and nothing is actually learned. The five metrics, resolution rate, what percentage got answered without escalating to a human? So target above 60%. That tells you, is this useful at all? Accuracy, and you have to do this one by hand, sit down and read a simple of the answers. Are they actually correct? Target about 85%. That tells you whether you can trust it. Okay. And satisfaction, your ratio, target above 75%. Do people like it? Right. So response time under 5 seconds, because a brilliant answer that takes 30 seconds is a failed feature. And the fifth one is the one I care most about, safe escalations. When the AI genuinely doesn't know that, does it say so, or does it make something up? Target above 90%. And honestly, for anything customer facing, I would want higher. Okay. That safety metric can override everything else. And this is the important. A prototype can hit a 70% resolution rate and still be an absolute no ship. If the other 30% is confidently inventing refund policies, good average performance does not excuse, right? Catastrophic edge cases. Look at your failures, not just your averages. So on scale 20 to 50 real users over 1 to 2 weeks, that's it. So you don't need statistical significance here. That's episode 15's problem. I'll explain you over there when you're running a real experiments. Right now, you need directional signal, and 20 engaged users will give you that loudly, right? And here is the payoff of no code. So when you spot the prompt failing on certain questions type, you fix the prompt in 30 seconds and test again. So no deployment, no code review, no sprint at all. So that iteration speed is the entire reason we did this way, right? Realistically, you will go through 5 or 6 prompt versions in that fortnight, and one of those is a lesson engineering now gets for free. Okay. Now um, let me be completely honest about what is a thing is not uh, what this thing is not, because I have seen this go wrong, and it goes wrong in very specific way. The left side is like what has to change for production. The keyword search becomes vector embeddings for a real semantic understanding. Airtable becomes an actual database, and your make scenario becomes a proper backend API. The retool UI becomes a real front end. Raw API calls get catching. Fallbacks for when OpenAI has a bad day, and rate limits, and you eyeballing quality becomes automated quality scoring, right? And that's a real list. And notice the pattern. Almost none of it is about the feature. It's all scale, reliability, and security. So, which is exactly what good engineers are brilliant at, and exactly what a prototype should never try to do. Okay. Now, the red line on the right, and this is the failure mode I want to inculate you against, right? Never ship the prototype itself. It is genuinely tempting. It works. Users like it. Why rebuild it, right? So because it has no error handling, no security model. Your API key is sitting in a make module, right? And it will fall over the first busy Monday. Okay, I watched a temporary no code prototype run in production for 2 years, quietly terrifying everyone. Don't do that. So, prototypes are disposable instruments, throw them away proudly. And here is the reference, here is the um, reframe on the right, which is a real value of this whole episode. What you hand engineering is not a spec document full of guesses, it's the evidence, right? A working thing they can click, real real usage and rating data. A prompt you have already tuned through 6 versions, so they don't have to discover that from the scratch. And the edge cases you already found and documented, every one of those removes a week of engineering guesswork. So you changed the question from should we build this to here is the proof it works. No, build it properly. That's a completely different conversation. Okay. Yeah, let's lock it in because um, watching me build something changes nothing. Building one yourself does, right? The whole thing in one breath. Step one, data, Airtable, 10 to 15 of your real help articles. Step 2, logic, a make scenario that goes webhook, search, AI call, log. And step 3 is the prompt. Give it a role, ground it in only your context and give it an escape hatch phrase for when it does not know. Step 4, interface 6 components deliberately ugly and then test 20 to 50 users, those 5 metrics, 1 to 2 weeks. That's the whole system. Okay. Your homework is 3 steps. One, pick one small AI area, and I mean genuinely small. One job, one user, one screen. The single biggest mistake here is picking something too ambitious and starting out on Tuesday. Two is like get the accounts all free to start, retool, make and an OpenAI API key. And three is like build an ugly version 0.1 even if it only handles 3 questions, right? End to end and rough beats polished and half finished every time because only end to end teaches you anything, right? And one experiment I would love you to run because it's the fastest way to feel this. Take a question your support team answers constantly and build just that one path, then show it to one person from the support team. The reaction, whatever it is, will teach you more in 5 minutes than a month of debating the idea in the abstract, right? So drop what you build in the comments or tell me what you would prototype first. I read all of them and I might build one of your ideas live in a future episode as well. So next up is episode 15, and it's a natural skill like A/B testing AI features. Once your prototype works and you want to run a real experiment, you hit a wall because AI is not non-deterministic, right? And that quietly breaks the statistics you are used to. I'll show you the 4 approaches that actually work. So subscribe, ring bell. I am Pranab. This has been AI for product managers, and I'll see you in episode 15. Peace. Thank you.